Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, Women's Issues, part 3 of our series on the alternative solutions of life insurance with best-selling author, popular platform speaker, and nationally recognized retirement expert, Tom Hegna. Welcome to segment 3, Tom.
Hey, great to be with you, Steve.
Women's Issues. Let me say, more and more, when we look at it, listen, we just saw, her name is Emma Morano. She was the Guinness Book of World Records live, 117. She's the last person to be born in the 19th century, 1899, lived throughout the 20th century, and just died at 117. So she was not only the oldest Guinness Book of World Records at that time, she was the tri-centurion teenager, right?
Wow.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
She just died. Old Susannah died the year previous, America's oldest at that time. She was born also in 1899, and she lived to 116. I mean, these numbers sound like, oh, they're just outliers out there. But Tom, we're all living longer.
Yeah.
The 2012 annuity CSO says the average survivor of a marriage is going to be around 93. That's the average. That means that what? Half of those will be older.
Right.
Willard Scott says happy birthday to a handful of Americans that turn 100. They're almost always women.
Yeah.
If you go to our biggest nursing home here, Freedom, over on Greenway and 64th Street, it's 9-to-1 women. I mean, we're talking women's issues. Yep. So retirement now has become the woman's issue. 87% of the time, women will outlive their husbands.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, I framed it for you. Let's talk about it.
So, you know, back in 2008, 2009, when the market was crashing, I got a call from the American College. And the American College is where advisors get their CLU, their CHFC, their RIC. There's these designations. It's an education. It's a college. And they said, Tom, we really need you to write an article on why people would buy life insurance in terrible markets like these. So you know what I did? I wrote an article on why people would buy life insurance in terrible markets like these. And I said, there are always 3 reasons why people will buy life insurance. And I think we're going to cover all of them in other segments. But I said, first of all, life insurance is a women's issue. It's not a man's issue. It's a women's issue.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, I say that because, like you said, you know, 70%, you said 87, but I mean, the numbers I had was 70% of the women, baby boomer women, are going to become widows. Mm-hmm. And because they live longer than men and they tend to marry men who are older than themselves, many of these baby boomer women are going to be widows for 15, 20, 25 years. So I tell...
Yeah, just stop there for a second, because I want to make sure this sinks in. You need to think about it. If the average first marriage is 3 years, and then the second marriage is around 6.5 years, and then you put the natural longevity of women on top of it, that you're going to be by yourself for a decade to a decade and a half. That's a shocker to most women.
Yes. And people don't think about it. Nobody thinks about losing their spouse. They really don't think about it. But the facts are many baby boomer women are going to be widows for 15, 20, 25 years. So I tell women this. Women, here's the deal. You are going to live with the consequences, good or bad, of how much life insurance is on your spouse. Now, I'm not saying it's not important for women to have life insurance. We've already talked about that. 50% of all women own 0 life insurance at the same time that 50% of women are the breadwinners of their home. Women are very much underinsured themselves. They need a lot more life insurance. But my point here is 70% of the time women are the beneficiaries of life insurance. And so it's so important. And we talked in another segment about how underinsured men are. That really what you need is at least $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income. And people are nowhere close to that. They might have $200,000 for $50,000 or $100,000 for $50,000. It's inadequate. And women are going to pay the price.
Okay, well, let's do the younger, and then we'll work our way up to the older. I'm looking at millennials, generally right now, rule of thumb, under 40. Then you're looking at Gen X and Gen Y, those right up to the 64 boomer category. So we have millennials, get a little older, Gen X and Y. Now we're looking at baby boomers. Most of our Korean veterans, almost all of them are gone, but their wives are not.
Right.
Let's keep that in mind, too.
That's right.
So young people, something happens, they're sitting there, 2 incomes, their mortgage is predicated on dual income, all their expensive lifestyle, all the things that they're into, the spending habits, the debt, everything's accumulated on their lives. What is the problem 90% of the time? If I'm going to have a death at the young age, it's going to be dad on the road, dad in a work accident, some kind of morbidity accident that turns into mortality. It's going to turn into this. So I'm faced, even as a young mother, the odds are high that if one of us is going to die, it's going to be him. And I'm the person that's saddled with the economic responsibilities or hardship.
Yeah, so they both need life insurance on a dual income. They both need life insurance for sure, all right? and they're both underinsured. But as we talked in another segment, they're also stay-at-home moms, and they need life insurance because if something happened to them, the husband, or if it's a stay-at-home husband, the wife, who's ever working, the working spouse cannot do what they do without the support of that non-working spouse. So regardless, you need life insurance. And then think about the single moms. The single moms need a lot of life insurance because there's nobody else to take care of the kids if something happens to them. And so that's why, you know, life insurance is so critical for women to think about and to really look at seriously.
Okay, so in our women's issues, usually, depending upon your age and what your marital status is, and also your obligations in the future with children and retirement and so forth, once you get into the retirement phase, we're trying to kick back. We're trying to enjoy our retirement. We're trying to do the Tommy Hegna happy factor, right? We're trying to do all this, the golden years. And then all of a sudden, you just said early at the start off the segment, you know, you're probably going to be a widow for a decade, maybe a decade and a half. Now, how do I prep for that? Because also, not only that, but as soon as I lose my spouse, I lose an exemption. My taxes could go up. As soon as I lose my spouse, I lose a big chunk of my Social Security, which most people don't realize. How can I defend against those two issues alone?
That's why this whole myth of that when you're older, you won't need life insurance. It's a myth. When you're older, you need more life insurance. And you know, I write a lot about retirement. I write a lot about retirement income. But what allows you to enjoy your retirement is the life insurance you bring in, because it gives you the license to spend your money. Because in retirement, too many people are saying, oh, I need to leave some money, Johnny and Susie. I got to leave some money, Johnny and Susie. So they're denying themselves a retirement to leave money to their kids. Here's what I tell people. I don't want you to leave your kids any money. I want you to spend your money. I want you to leave them life insurance because you can do it for pennies on the dollar. So let's just follow somebody through their young life. When they're young, and you can buy term insurance so cheap. So you buy a few $1 million of term insurance cheap. As you get older, as you make more money, you start converting at least a portion of that into permanent life insurance so that you've got an emergency fund, that you've got college funding savings, that you've got some tax-free income in retirement. And it's the permanent life insurance that you'll bring into retirement. Understand this very clearly. Term life insurance will not be there when you die. Term life insurance is only there if you die. If you die young, it will pay. If you live old, you will not have any term life insurance. Less than 2% of term policies ever pay a death claim because it's actuarially set to go up every year so that when you get older, you're going to have to let it go because the premium would be too high. So you've got to convert some of that into permanent life insurance, all right? And then that can give you the license to spend your money. You can use that for a legacy for children and grandchildren, source of tax-free income in retirement.
Any product that we've all talked about, and I mean, I have mutual funds, I have ETFs, I have REITs. But I have life insurance. Why do I have it? Because I'm trying to secure the future. My wife, the odds are almost 100% that she will need money because her Social Security will be gone. Her exemption taxes are going to be gone. I won't be around to get ancillary retirement monies. So those are all almost, you got to buy those in as a kind of a part of our culture. So when I'm looking at protecting women, this is really the survivor. This is a survivor issue. And most of the time it's women. So now, Tom, I need to do this. Can I get decent insurance if I'm decently healthy? If I'm the guy and I want to be a good steward, because this is also a love issue. This is a stewardship issue. Can I get it? Can I still buy it in my 60s to protect against the things we just brought up?
Absolutely. You know, people over the age of 60 buy more life insurance than people under the age of 60. There's one other thing I'll throw in here. Women have a huge threat of long-term care as well because they typically, what happens is the husband gets sick first. Guess who takes care of him? The wife takes care of him. Guess where the resources go to take care of that? Then the husband dies. Who's going to take care of the wife? And so many of these life insurance policies also have a long-term care bucket that you can put on there. And I would encourage women to really look at that long-term care bucket in addition to the life insurance. You can buy kind of a combo plan.
Okay, and the last case we did, people were not healthy enough to get long-term care, but they were healthy enough. The man and wife were both healthy enough. They each bought a policy on each other to fund their long-term care issues because they couldn't get it on the actual morbidity platform of nursing home care, but they could get it on a life insurance contract. Oddly enough.
Yeah, because they look at different things.
They look at different things. Listen, don't forget to watch our next segment, the tax-favored treatment of life insurance, part 4 of our series on the alternative solutions of life insurance. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money.